Hey, welcome back everybody. Glad to see you back at the shop here. I've been working on cleaning up more parts. I just got done cleaning up this guy here. Looks about the same as the other side as far as wear. I think that'll probably be okay. Doesn't seem excessive or anything. So I started working on taking this apart now. I just blocked up the outer side of the gear here. And then a little bit of tappy in the whole center section came out just as suspected. Nothing too difficult there. A little interesting. I wasn't quite expecting a slotted pin like that, but I guess that makes sense. So that's your key and your pin all at once. So I think I'll clean up this gear first, and then we'll work on seeing if we can get apart the rest of it, the spider gears there. Okay, got this gear cleaned up. Not terrible, but not the greatest. Now that it's clean, I can see there's a few teeth. See if I can get it to focus in there nicely. That have some significant pitting and stuff on them, I suppose, from water sitting in the transmission over years. More than, of course, I would like to see, but probably not enough to worry about not actually running it. I mean, we'll clean everything up the best we can and maybe polish a few of these a little bit, and kind of, it is what it is. I mean, it's less than ideal, but I don't think it's going to be a huge, don't want to focus on there, huge deal. I mean, I wonder, there's a possibility with this particular gear, we could put it on backwards and run all the unworn half of the teeth on the load side. Something to think about, I guess, with this one. But like I said, even if we don't, I hate to be the guy that says, well, for what it is, you know, it'll be fine. It's just going to be a parade tractor, blah, 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 blah. You know, I hate it when people say that and use that philosophy. And yes, it's true to a certain extent. I get that. But at least personally, my machines, once I'm done with them, and I know that they're good, or as good as they're going to be, I plan, set this down, it's heavy. I plan to use these. You know, if I give the opportunity to go out in the field and plow, I'm going to go out in the field and plow. It's not some parade beauty where I'm scared to get the wheels dirty. I mean, anybody that's seen my 612 knows that the wheels, they ain't clean. I'll go out and use it if I can. My 2035, it's filthy because I go through the mud puddles with it. It's that's what it's about. That's what the tractors are for. Take them out, use them. That's the best thing for them. I mean, I'm not saying you got to abuse them. You know, I'm not saying that. But take them out and use them. So yeah, knowing, and there again, comes back to knowing what you got. If you know you got a pretty good transmission and there's nothing, you know, your teeth ain't razor sharp and half wore out and whatever, you know, you can go out and use it. Now, like I said, is this perfect world, all these gears? No, but it's no reason you can't go out and work it a little bit. Anyway, let's see if I can work on taking this apart now. Okay, we're back at this. It's another weekend. Another beautiful day outside. Things are melting. So I gave up last weekend trying to remove these spider gear pins. I think I already said I removed the cross pins for the pins. One was bent, if that means anything. I'm not sure why, but they all came out very easily. No issues there. I was expecting that once I had them removed, that the pins would come out rather easily. I put a punch on there and tried, you know, driving them out. They don't seem to be moving at all. They seem to be in there pretty good. So I stopped and I went to the parts book. That wasn't much help. It looks like these are they got a step to them. They're a little bit bigger here than they are here. So I'm not sure where, you know, if they step down at this point or whatever. I'm going to, I think, throw this in the parts washer, clean off a bunch of the gunk to maybe, so I can inspect it a little bit closer to see if there's something else I'm missing here. In my mind, that pin should be plenty adequate, rather, to hold that in place. You would think that that cross, you know, this main pin would come right out now, but maybe there's something else I'm missing here. Yeah, I'll stop back here and show you what I got once I clean this all up a little bit. So it's kind of a good news, bad news, good news, bad news situation kind of day today. Good news is I got this first layer of gunk cleaned up today. Bad news is I didn't find anything else obvious as far as why these are being so stubborn to remove. They are indeed stepped shaft, so the shaft is smaller until it gets to this point, and then it's this size in this part of here. I got creative with some feeler gauges as straight edges and measuring in between to determine that. These are of course free, so we know it's got to be just stuck either here or both. So anyway, that's where I'm at on that part of the project. The other good news is I've been texting with my buddy that does Babbitt work, and he makes it sound like, yeah, that's no big problem at all to redo these. He can basically do these by themselves. He doesn't need the rest of the tractor or the rest of the differential to necessarily do all that. All he really needed was the accurate measurement of this to be able to bore out the Babbitt accordingly, right? Makes sense. So he said, give me that measurement and we can go from there. Okay, so I got my big micrometers out today and started doing some measuring, and I'm realizing that this part of the project is probably going to snowball a little bit because well, since I can't show you very good with micrometer, I can show you by eye. There's a significant amount of wear on these parts of the differential. I don't know if you can see that, but from the middle part where it seems to be the most worn to like here where it's least worn, on this half there's about 20 thou difference, which is a significant amount. You can just see it by eye. This half is not nearly as bad, but there is wear on this as well. I don't know if you'll be able to see that or not, but there's the same thing. There's more wear in the center here than there is here. So most likely what that means at this point is that I will give him these parts. I'm actually going to bring down the whole differential to him so he can check it over and make sure he agrees with what I'm seeing. But basically all you should probably really need is these parts and these parts. The way I look at it now, the next step would be to take these, chuck them up in a big lathe on probably a faceplate, because this is a machine surface on the back. So you can put it on a nice faceplate and then true up this bearing surface, skim cut it just to take it all back to the same diameter. Same with this one. And then since that's a nice, clean, consistent measurement, then he can bore the new Babbitt to fit that accordingly. It'll be the good situation all around. Everything will be true and accurate that way. It just kind of stinks that that's one more thing I got to get done now, which means more money spent. But I think all around that'll be the best situation. So that's the bad news. The good news is that I'm going to be, weather permitting, meeting him tomorrow in Minot because he was coming up for an auction just by chance. So I will meet him there to give him these parts and kind of go over everything, see what he thinks, and we'll kind of go from there. But the other bad news is that we got some weather coming in tonight and early tomorrow morning. There's a chance of rain and snow, and it's supposed to get cold and icky. So we'll see what the weather does by morning. If it's icky, I'm not going to travel. You'll just have to wait for another time. But if the weather cooperates, like I said, I'll meet him in Minot because he's down in Fargo. So it's not just a matter of me hop, skip, and a jump going and visiting him. You know, that's from here, that's like 5+ hours away. So yeah, that's what I know at this point. I will keep you updated with what I find out tomorrow. Yeah, I just got back from Minot then. Just unloaded the truck. You can tell it's cold out there. The parts are all frosty. I had brought down all the differential stuff just to show Matt there, just in case, you know, he needed any of these parts. I didn't think he did. And he didn't, of course, because I brought them back. But sounds like I was on the right track as far as steps to take to make all those bearings better. He agreed that what he'll do is he'll take those two halves of the differential, chuck them up on his lathe, put them on a faceplate, skim cut them, just like we talked about. He'll re-babbitt the bearings and machine them to fit the new sized differential parts, and we'll be good to go. Like I told him, this is not a high priority project, so he'll get to it whenever he gets time. We got plenty of other stuff to work on around here. I'm sure you guys know that. Because even if we get to a point where we can't go any further on this transmission, which just cleaning alone is days and days worth of work to get this all cleaned up. We still got to get the belt pulley off. We still got a whole shelf full of stuff here if we feel like getting sidetracked on a different project. So, but anyway, he's going to keep me posted on progress there. Hopefully send some pictures and stuff along the way so we can at least kind of show you how that process goes. And then whenever he gets done, we'll coordinate a way to get it back here, whether I got to make a trip down there or if he'll end up coming up this way for whatever reason. I don't know. We'll figure that out when that time comes. And then, yeah, we'll have that part of it done. And then basically, I think that's about all we really have to redo in here, to my knowledge at this point. And then once stuff is clean, we can actually start putting things back together. Short of inspecting all these bearings and whatnot, ball bearings, whether or not any of them need to be replaced. We do know, like we talked in the previous episode, at least that rear axle and bearings and whatnot will need to be redone. But one thing at a time. We still got a whole lot of cleaning in this area to do first. Talking with Glenn last night. He's a guy in Australia working on old 2035 long fender over there currently. And he was curious what color the coating, if any, was inside of the transmission housing. And like I told him, well, it's still kind of dirty to tell. Can't even really say for sure. But as of right now, I don't even really notice any coloring. It's not obvious like the 612 transmission was, where you could see kind of that cream colored, light colored, tan, whatever you want to call it, coating on the inside. He had worked on another long fender previously. I believe that one was a 25 year. And that had a really thick coat of like white coating on the inside. And this definitely isn't that. So yeah, one of these days I'll have to get in here and do some more scrub-a-dub-dubbing and see what kind of colors we come up with, if any. I don't know. That's about it for now. I don't know if I'll work on any more here or not. We'll see what I feel like doing here. I'll catch you guys later. Happy Friday. So, out here, Working on transmission a little bit again. I managed to get the reverse idler shaft and gear out. A couple of long punches and a hammer and some persuasion, and I finally drove it out the hole there underneath the belt pulley. And there, pretty snug fit. It didn't come out easily, so it should not be worn out. We still got to degunkify everything. Now we can get this shift rail and arm off, because we can flip this over and drive that taper pin back out to the other direction now, and then we should be able to remove the rail here. Just for future reference and how this was together. So the thick part of the arm is towards the left side of the tractor here. Yeah, that wasn't too bad. Once I got the pin out, everything came apart pretty easily. Now we can clean all those up as well. Okay, I cleaned up all those parts for the reverse idler and whatnot that I took out last night. They all cleaned up pretty good, at least for a first level clean. Get all the major gunk off so we can at least see what we're dealing with. And this gear is not pretty. It's probably the worst of them so far. Quite a bit of chipping going on the leading edge. The operator was definitely grinding gears. So that's unfortunate. I guess we'll try dressing them up and see what they look like and decide if we want to even pursue having any new gears made or not. Yeah, there's that. I cleaned up these differential bearing caps, at least a level 1 tidy. Get the major junk off, see what we got rather. There was a lot of gunk down in these pockets, and there was a lot of little bits of shrapnel and whatever from the edges of the teeth that were broken, and lots of silvered colored, little gold flecks from the brass being worn, and little metal flakes. And yeah, it's a good thing that we're flushing out this whole transmission from top to bottom, because there's a lot of carnage going on inside here when we really get down to it. I know I really should be cleaning in here, but I'm kind of just keep procrastinating as long as I can, because I really don't want to, if I'm going to be honest. I did a little bit of shop organization this morning. Built a quick little shelf to put some of my stuff on over here. I don't know if that'll be a forever thing or not, but I just needed something just to organize here a little bit for now. Clean off the workbench, basically. There was getting to be too much stuff here. The whole point of this shop was to have this as a workbench, not a storage bench. So this has been actually kind of bugging me. I don't like storing things here because I want to be able to work here, but at the same time, I've got to have a place to put stuff. So, and we'll be hopefully cleaning some of the stuff in the not too distant future. So yeah. Well, I've been scrubbing away in here tonight. Does it look any cleaner yet? A little bit. Still filthy, but it's starting to actually see some metal underneath all the tar. Well, I'm going to keep cleaning. No sense in you guys sticking around for it, but it was nice for you to stop by. I hope to see you again. See you later. Thanks.